All right, we are here for another week of scaling your racket stringing business, and we've been going through this week by week. And this week we are in part 5 of this series of the 9 proven strategies. And so we kind of have gone through the first 4, which is upgrading your equipment. We talked about that expanded on that. Building partnerships, offering diverse services, marketing, and online presence. That's our last video. So again, you can find those in the series. And we continue with expanding your client base, and which would basically acquiring more customers. I know back in our third one, it was offering diverse services. So this will include some of that, but it goes into it a little bit deeper and about some things you can do, some things that we've tried, some things that we haven't, and just some new thoughts possibly. And so, of course, we always encourage you to leave some feedback or questions. We've been getting some questions, and so that's been helpful so that we can make some other videos related to that content. So I guess we could just get right into it. The first thing is, so when you're thinking about basically expanding your client base, look at what your brand presence is right now, right? So for a lot of people, I always say, hey, did you develop, a good logo? What makes your business stand out? Do you have a professional website? Do you have social media engagement? And for some people, they're like, no, I just use word of mouth. I've been doing this for so many years. It's worked great. I don't even need a website. I'll have a Facebook page. But, when you just have, which works for a lot of people. But the only thing is, a Facebook page is not your own, right? You don't own that domain. So I always just start, even if you just use your own website as your business card, I think that's a good starting point. And these days, you could use Wix, you can use Squarespace if you don't want to get deep into a WordPress website. But I know I've had some success, and I've known people who have success with WordPress and with Squarespace as far as the SEO, optimizing the site fairly easy so people can find you, because most likely you're just going to be looking at getting local marketing, and getting on the Google local pack and stuff like that.
Even GoDaddy offers
GoDaddy is a good place to maybe start. Just come up with your name, or if you have your name, just put up a simple 1-page or even 4-page site where you just have about you, about your services, what you have to offer, a little bit about all of your strings, and just kind of a way to connect, for people to connect with you and stuff like that. So I always encourage people to not just use Facebook or Instagram, but actually have a website, just so that you have your own place, just, your own footprint, I guess, and then add the socials and add Facebook on there and stuff. So that's kind of where I had always been. Brad, what do you think?
No, I think that's a great idea. It's very easy to do. Like you said, 1, 2, 3 pages, doesn't have to be much. It's just very basic. You could put your, some of your credentials, if you have any certifications, any experience, the type of equipment you're using, and it's nice. And you can, there it is. You can even, you could even create just a single sheet of paper with a unique. Oh, did I lose you? Can you hear me, Pat? There you are. You could create a sheet of paper with a single, I'm drawing a blank. It's not a barcode, but you could
QR code.
A QR code.
Yeah, QR
right,
code.
Stringing services, hang it up at local parks, courts, laminate it, put it on the fence, and people can, just scan it with their phone and go right to your page and your information, phone number, email, how to reach you, your services you offer. So,
yeah. And nowadays, people don't really use business cards as much as they used to, because now they have digital business card systems, where basically you just have it on your phone and you just scan some, you can give your digital business card to somebody else if they have a smartphone as well, and put the phone next to theirs, and it'll give them the business cards. So these days, a lot of people, tend to go digital like that. But yeah, I still think it is valuable because, we are kind of talking about upscaling your business. I mean, if you want to just leave it where it's at and it's working fine for you, that's great. But we would encourage to add that.
Make it a little more professional.
Yep, exactly. The next point is increasing your visibility locally and online. And this is, I think, where that would help. If you had a Google business profile, and a lot of times you do have to have some type of a brick and mortar in order to, show up on the business profile. But that also gives you some credibility locally. It makes it easier for people to find you locally if they are searching online. And also, it could expand your business to maybe expand your geographical business outside of your normal area. So if you're trying to reach one town over, one city over, or you just want to be, maybe have an online presence for people who aren't necessarily in your area that want, maybe they'll ship you the rackets to string, or you're if you're offering some of those supplemental like stringing or strings and grips and things like that, you can sell outside of your local area if you have a web presence. Collaborating with local clubs and gyms. So this is not going to tennis clubs. This is going with, like, think about what's a complementary service. Like, okay, well, a lot of people who play tennis also go to gyms, right? So, that might, or other kinds of sports clubs that have more than one sport, you can possibly maybe connect with them, and they might have some advertising or something that you can get involved with there. Or, there might be a place where if you support that gym, they'll help support your business as well. Online advertisement, not everybody uses Google Ads. If you have a good organic footprint, you don't necessarily need to. But if you just go onto Google and search racket stringing near me, and you don't show up anywhere near the first page, then it might be time, if you want to, show up, look who's running the ads and see if that's a competitor, and you want to get ahead of that competitor, you might want to think about running some local, running ads for the local area. Expanding your service offerings. I know we talked about that. Offering the racket maintenance service like grip replacement, frame inspection, grommet repairs, all that. Membership packages. We talked a little bit about that, but you can offer monthly or yearly memberships, have perks for that. Priority stringing, discounts, 1 hour stringing, things like that. Custom string recommendations. You can be basically a personal string advice to people, to clients, and helping them with their play and their preferences. And then you're going to be seen as that expert in your community. I mean, we've kind of talked about that, but that is part of this number 5 as well. So, and then we're talking about leveraging technology for managing your clients. So this is kind of where we're talking about, all right, so maybe you can think about automating your scheduling and reminders. So if you have clients that you string for regularly, maybe get their email, have their emails, and get a scheduling system or program where every 3 months it will just send them a reminder. Hey, how's your strings going? Do you need something new? This is the special that I'm running this month. They might have not thought about getting their racket strung that month, but it kind of maybe can create kind of that that idea in their head, and they're like, oh yeah, I guess it is about time that I have, or I need to have one of my rackets strung. I've got a match coming up or something like that. So it kind of reminds them that you're still there, that you have that. And that goes along with maybe a loyalty program where you have, points and rewards. Think of your favorite loyalty program that you go with, whether it's, at one of your favorite restaurants, your coffee shop. Do you use loyalty programs? And if you do, think about that program and how you can maybe customize something like that for your stringing business.
Yeah, even pick up and delivery, things like that, if they're a member. And
yep, because you do that, and that's
yeah.
kind of, that works for you. I've seen that work in different ways for a lot of different geographic.
2 or more rackets, we offer pickup and delivery.
Yep,
a lot of things you can do to help build your business.
Exactly. Client tracking. So that again would be, that's, there's a number of software out there that can help with that, stringing software. I know, Brad, you use a spreadsheet to have all of your information, and it gives you enough information diagnostics, but that doesn't help you get out to your customers as far
Correct.
as the email system, and then also tracking, everything in one place that also automates all these systems. So there are softwares for that, and we could talk about that. We'd mentioned ones that are simple ones like String Job. There's a few others, I can't think of their names right now. And then there's also non-tennis related software as well. Some of them are built into some of the socials, where you could put all your social networks together, and then they can send out, you don't have to like go to every single one of those to reach your customer base, or your local market, but you can just do it all in one place, and it'll kind of streamline things a lot for you.
Yeah.
Next thing, exploring new markets and venues. Okay, so we talked a little bit about, geographically, what can you do? Considering maybe some pop-up services in different areas. So like that would be probably if there was a club outside of your area that maybe didn't have full-time stringing, you could like be there certain times to offer stringing on site, maybe once a week, twice a week. You could be at venues where there's sports and tennis, and you could have like set up your services at a club, or at the park that there's a tournament going on, something like that.
Even local colleges. I have 5 colleges within probably 10 miles of me. They have tournaments, they have other teams come in, and sometimes, you could let the coach know, hey, if you want me to set up my machine during your tournament, your weekend, if you need help it could get you some business for that weekend.
Yep, especially for maybe the visiting team, because
right.
maybe the home team might have their own stringer that just strung all the rackets for their players, but maybe, sometimes you need things done on site right there, or you just, like, oh, it's convenient, so I'll just get my racket strung before I leave, kind
and
of thing.
Some of these colleges don't even have a stringer, believe it or not. Right. They might have a kid on the team who, I've seen players give me rackets that their teammates had done, and there's like 4 or 5 different spots where there's a double weave, and it's like, what is going on here? So they're going to want, hey, yeah, this is fine during no competition. We got a tournament this weekend. Let me pay you to do it properly, type of thing. So, but yeah, the visiting coaches, you can check the schedules of your local colleges and when they're playing who, and reach out to the opposing team. Say, hey, if any of your players need a racket strung while they're here, reach out to me. I'll get it done for you.
Yeah, I always do that when I go to a match or go to a new park where they're having a tournament or a club or whatever. I always like to see, okay, where is there stringing going on? What's it looking like? What are they charging? Is that person part of the venue or not? And then, maybe talk to some people, and sometimes you can just get kind of, it might not set something up for you right then, but possibly you can set something up for the future or make some connections.
And even just, like you said, hanging around, talking to people, going to local parks, tennis clubs, tournaments. One of the first things I always ask any tennis player that I meet, if I'm not stringing for them already, is, what string are you using? Do you have any arm issues, any shoulder issues? I get a pain in my wrist once in a while, or my elbow. Yeah, have you considered going to a softer string that might help? No, I don't really know much about that. I didn't realize that would help. So, you've got a big opportunity to educate, you know, the players out there and let them know there are strings that are going to be way easier on your arm, way more comfortable. There are tensions you can play with. So, and all of a sudden, you know, that you've got yourself a new customer because you just taught them something and you've maybe helped them feel better with a new string setup.
Exactly. And this is also maybe an opportunity where you can, if you've been wanting to be a professional stringer or string at professional events or even college events, you know, go to some matches and or when they're setting up for, let's say there's a tournament going to be, you know, a small tournament in town. It could be maybe just, you know, not a top tier, but maybe a smaller draw, and find out who's putting it on and volunteer at that event, not necessarily for stringing, but just volunteer at the event so that you can get in and be behind the scenes. And once you, because usually the stringing services are behind the scenes and they're not accessible to the public generally for a lot of the events, maybe smaller ones sometimes, but generally you need to have some kind of pass. So if you just volunteer at one of the tournaments, and then you can figure out where the stringing's at, then you talk to the people who are contracted to do the stringing at that tournament. And even maybe that time, if you're ahead of time, go, you know what, I'll just cut out the strings for you and take the rackets in, you know, just start talking to them. And if you feel that it's a good fit, you know, you like their, you know, you're making connections there, just say, hey, you know what, can I just come and just cut out strings for you and help out? Cause, you know, I really want to be a professional string, you know, that kind of thing. Cause I've seen people, like we've had people that do that for us when we were at tournaments, and
it makes a big difference. In 6 months down the road, when you practice more, you're a better stringer, and you can say, hey, yeah, I worked at the, you know, the Pilot Pen or the Ericsson Open, or I don't know the names of what they're called now. I'm going back.
Yeah, I know, right. I know.
But it makes a big difference. And like any other business in the world, yeah, what you know is important, but who you know is actually in many cases just as important or more important to where you're going to end up.
Oh yeah, it's and so you start making connections, and maybe that person knows somebody at another tournament, or that person, because sometimes it's not, because you're thinking, oh well, you're competing with them, they're not going to help me, but that's not how it works. And basically sometimes somebody's not able to come to a tournament to string, or they need an extra stringer at a tournament. Well, then you might be that person that they might ask. Yeah, the first time you're not going to be, you know, top stringer at a tournament. You're going to be kind of that last person that, you know, gets takes on whatever's left over, or just gets the lower, you know. Yeah, so it's just a good place to maybe think about if that's an area you want to get into. So hopefully that was kind of helpful there. Expanding geographically, we talked about that. Target audience, client segments. Besides tennis, you might be a tennis player, you might be stringing for tennis players, but hey, there's squash, badminton, pickleball. There's all sorts of, I'm sorry, pickleball. Pickleball actually doesn't require rackets to be strung, huh?
Maybe you can get them for the new grip.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. So I meant to put in racquetball.
Racquetball, yeah.
I meant to put in racquetball. Oops. But anyways, yeah. So, you know, and you know, if you've been around where we used to predominantly just have tennis shops, you go into some tennis shops now, and pickleball is a big part of it, right?
Huge, yeah.
And so, you know, tennis is still there. It's not going away. It's just you have to maybe think a little differently.
Yeah.
But all right, that was fun. Okay, so referral and affiliate programs. We talked about, I think, that on another video too. Offer some discounts to existing clients. Incentivize your offerings, like referrals from friends. Like, you know, if you have some clients that you string for regularly, encourage them to encourage their friends to let you string their rackets. And then maybe, you know, one referral could mean hundreds of dollars down the road, right? So if you happen to give one free string job to your friend because he referred somebody to you that actually gave you some more revenue, it might be worth, you know, giving a free labor to somebody, because, you know, $20, you know, $20, $25 for, you know, to 10, that might end up getting you $200, $300, $400 in return, right? So
Yeah.
that's a pretty good return on your investment. And speaking of racket string prices, I know a few people have asked about, hey, what's the rate in your area? Because of course, we've had inflation and all that, and the $20 base doesn't, you know, isn't as usual as, or isn't the general fee anymore. It seems like it's gone up in a lot of areas. Are you still charging $20, or have you gone beyond that?
I'm still at 20. A couple of the clubs have gone up to 25 near me, but I still feel like my customers are walking by those pro shops to get in their car and drive the rackets to me. So I'm keeping it at 20. Now I do a pretty good job of trying to find string deals. So I would say 50% or more of my clients use my string. So if I get a really good string deal, you know, I just charge what would be the retail price for the set of string if they were to go on Tennis Warehouse or whatever and buy the string. So maybe I got, you know, buy one, get one free. So I'm also making money now on the string because I'm charging them the retail price for the string. So I try to do that just to make a little bit more when I can. But it's but I don't see myself raising my rate quite yet.
Yeah, you know, that is a good point, because it's kind of like, if you raise your rate to $25, will you be losing out? Will some of those customers just stop at that shop and not go to you because it's more convenient for them? Even though they trust your stringing, you know, for some people, it's not enough to keep them going somewhere else. They'll just make the easiest drop-off point. So that does make it hard in a lot of markets. So because, you know, we always talk about just market yourself as the professional and people will come. It is harder than you think, and especially when we start getting above 20, it's like, wow, $25 for labor. So you've got to find unique ways to integrate the fees, right? So either make it like $40 and it includes the string and this, and then sometimes you make a higher margin depending on what the string is, or figure out how you can get better discounts on strings, where maybe if you're buying more quantity, you're getting deeper discounts, and that's helping you, and you keep that price up, so you're making a little bit more there. Or like trying to upsell more services, you know, the grips, adding, like, the grommets, trying to figure out how you can, I guess, increase the revenue for each racket.
Yeah, and I got an email today: buy two, get one free. You know, for a company. So, but another thing that you and I really have on our side is that we don't have bricks and mortar to pay rent or a mortgage. You know, I'm just working out of my house. I don't have the overhead that a pro shop is going to have. You know, so me charging 20 is really probably making even more than them charging 25, because they've got all this expense that comes with owning a business, really.
And you could also, at some point you go, you know what, it's going to be 20 plus tax.
Yeah, so right. That's the thing for me, the next thing.
Yeah. So that way you are at least, so right there, you've made 3-4% increase right there, because you're now putting the burden on other people for that, because for everything, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So when, maybe even like, when you go to a restaurant, a lot of places you go, well, in my area, just because it's a really high tourist area, when you go to a restaurant, they put on there, okay, do you want to give 20%, 25, or 30%? It's
Yeah.
no longer 10%, right?
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, it starts at 15 or 20%. Like, and even if you go to a place where they're not really doing anything for you, they're just serving you coffee.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so, you know, that might be an option too. Like when you maybe give them a way, like when they pay, have a place on there for, why not ask for tips? You know,
Yeah.
have a place on there, because people don't think about tipping maybe for stringing or labor, because
Yeah.
it's not put on, you know, it's not on anything where
Yeah.
they're seeing it. But you know, you can put it on there and just say, hey, you want to leave a tip? That would be great, you know, and if not, that's fine. But it gives them the opportunity to leave a tip somehow.
Everyone's gotten so used to it now. I don't know personally if I would feel comfortable doing that, but I do have some customers who tip me
Mm-hmm.
every time.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I always thank them. I said, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they always do it. It might be $5 on a racket stringing this and that.
I mean, you could just do it like if it's somebody who's going to pay digital, like, you know,
Right. You could have it
on
built
a
into
payment
the,
system, you just have that option on there
yes, that I
and
could
just
see
leave it at
doing.
that.
Yep. That I could see doing. If you send them a digital invoice and then they, it's on there and it's up to them.
Yep. I think that might work. Um, Tennis influencers or ambassadors. So if there's somebody that's really, that you know, maybe in a club or that really works the local tennis area. I know I have pickleball on here again. I meant to put racquetball, but I guess if you sell pickleball rackets, this would be applicable. But and have them maybe promote your services,
Yeah.
you know, and pay them something for it. You can even, like, if you really want to expand, you can even find people in social media that you could pay to be an ambassador for whatever, you know, you're stringing
I have
service.
a girl that I string for who's
Yeah.
top 100 in the world in doubles here. And so I give her a discount. I
Mm-hmm.
give her good service and I have a special price I give her, which is
But do you
cheaper
get
than
any benefit for, does she bring business to you, or does she have something that tells people, oh, you know what, I'm helping, I mean, this guy, you know, does a really good job, and you should go to him. So that
I
might be.
think I know she mentions to people that I do her stringing, but also I bring it up too, because people will say, hey, just see how well she's doing this and that. I said, yeah, she was over. I string her rackets when she's in town.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and
good.
then, and she's helped me out with abundance of string that she used to get that she doesn't use anymore. Here, you want some reels, or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, no, that's good. We have cross promotion with complementary businesses. I talked about that a little bit earlier, but sports retail stores that don't necessarily have their own stringing, you can connect with them.
yes.
You can even offer a place where they can drop off the rackets there, and then you go and pick them up every other day. For something like that, you do need to have somebody really in the establishment that's willing to help you out on that and promote that, because if they have different people going through the department, they're not always going to know, oh, that you come and do that service. You really have to educate that retailer about it. But you can set that up. I've done that before, and it's worked after you've gotten it working.
Yeah, I went to the local Dick's Sporting Good. They
Yep.
didn't have a stringer and gave them my name.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. And you do have to show up on a regular time and a regular basis, because if somebody does drop a racket off and you don't show up for 4 days, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Collaborating with gyms and fitness centers, we talked about that. The recreational sports, they're also going to be, they might be going to the gym, but they want to also play recreational, so you can connect with them. You might even rent rackets out. That might be another way for you to expand,
Yeah.
Especially if it's, places where they don't have access to rackets, if they just want to play, especially if it's a community where there's a lot of tourists or people traveling through, and community centers. Yeah. And
Yes.
did we do this one? No. Okay. So engaging in online sports communities, there's some of those that, like, where you can set up matches and things like that. You can maybe be part of those. Tennis forums, local tennis forums, social media groups that, local club, like tennis clubs that get together, just talk, play together. You can be involved in some of those. Offer advice and answer questions on some of the online forums. If you have your expertise in stringing, you can like share that with others, and sometimes that can get you business as well.
Yeah, that's important stuff. And you and I have, like, just through social media groups, I've become friendly with the official stringer at Wimbledon. I've had to ask him a couple of questions. We, got to be friendly with Mark Maslowski, the president. I don't know if he still is the president of the European Racket Stringer Association.
Yeah, I think so.
And John Sharp in Great Britain, who you've had on your show, who's a world-class stringer and does a lot of professional squash stringing. And even,
do you still get emails? Do you still get emails from the ERSA? Because I still get the newsletter.
Yeah,
which is nice. I do. Monthly newsletter, so you get to see what in Europe, kind of what their latest technologies are with the strings that they're promoting there, and it's so much different than what's being promoted here, right? Because sometimes it's the group itself, it's the that is connected somehow with a certain company, and that a lot of that is what they're promoting. So it's interesting to see how it's so vastly different in the markets. But
yeah, and all the people, even like Kirschbaum Strings, and they had the Sandra Kirschbaum on talking about her family's string, which was really neat to hear. And so there's a lot of stuff out there, and I've learned a lot from just being on Facebook groups and stringing groups and doing these online forums and being part of your show, which is I've learned a lot, and it's been great. So there's an unlimited amount of information out there for anyone who's interested in stringing. And not only that, it's from some of the most, really experienced stringers in the world who've strung for all the top players in the world. So it's pretty neat.
And and then email marketing, sending out periodic newsletters and seasonal promotions, racket care tips, events that are happening. People, people appreciate that kind of information. And I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe if this has been helpful. Ask some questions. We are happy to get back on any of the topics or any new topics that you might want to see a video on. Just drop that in the comments on these videos and so forth. So hopefully we'll have some live videos coming up in the future and having some more guests on as well. But I think this pretty much completes today's part, which is number 5 on this series of 9. And so, of course, number 5 being acquiring more customers, expanding your client base. And we'll be digging into the next one on the next video until we have all these 9 ways to expand your stringing business, upscaling your stringing business. So thanks for joining me today, Brad. Until next time, have a good week.
You too. Thanks, Pat.